Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and an extra special welcome to Sutton Coldfield Park. Just on a little hike today, and let me show you around the park a little bit. One of the best times to come is autumn time because all of the leaves are changing, so it's a bit more of a spectacular view, and it's also not too cold, it's not too hot, so it's great for hiking around. Now, you're probably new to the channel because this channel is very new, very recent, so pretty excited to start things off. So my name is Scott. I live a very alternative lifestyle. So for work, I work for event companies, so this takes me all over the country, and I also live on a 40-foot sailboat part-time, as well as the hotels and my folks' house. Now, this is actually part two of the part one was telling you about my accident. Basically, in a nutshell, if you're not going to watch the full version, is I was on the way to work to build a promotional stand for a company. I was driving a van, car span out of control in front of me, hit concrete barrier. I stopped to help. He was blocking the middle lane, facing the wrong way. Then the van I was driving, I stopped about 7 meters, got the guy out of the car, ran over, got the guy out of the car, and then a lorry hit the van. The van flew forward, and I was hit sideways. So basically my knee just kind of went in that way. So I was basically scooped up, put on an ambulance, and yeah, taken to hospital where I got an x-ray, crutches and painkillers, and sent on my merry little way. So this is more of part two. This is the kind of financial aftermath. So the way that I'm employed for these agencies is they are 0-hour contracts, and they are PAYE. So I don't invoice, I don't take care of my own tax. They basically hire me and then they pay me through like the banking system as a regular normal employee would be. Now that's quite important for the second year of owning the boat. Now, I bought the boat just the year before the lockdowns, and basically my intention for the boat was literally pay it off as soon as possible, so I'd be debt free, get it all ready, get it as self-sufficient as possible, and then go on adventures. Now, my prognosis from the doctors, because they're the medical experts, was maybe, 2-3 months I'll be fine. I didn't break anything. And my accident happened in November 2018. Now, I'd seen the boat online a few months before that, and it was advertised for £60,000. Then it went down to £50,000, and I went to have a look at it. That's when I put a deposit down, which was probably January. January I put the deposit down, subject to survey. Check this out. I've not actually been here in such a long time. And I've definitely not walked around. So, because I travel all over the country, you see, so people call me kind of like more of a nomad, more than anything else. So I don't really live anywhere. It's a cool little bridge. So the first year of owning the boat, I, jumped on it, got the finance and everything sorted and started paying monthly for it. So I pay Barclays pretty much around £500 a month. I just figured rather than rent a room in someone's house for pretty much storage, because I don't really live anywhere full time, why not just own a boat out of it at the end, and then eventually I can sell it after I'm done with it. Now, year one, after my prognosis, I thought, you know what, these guys are going to be right. A few months' time, I'll be back on tour and I'll be back at work and everything will be fine. I'll pay it off in no time. However, that wasn't necessarily the case. So a few months go by, I'm not really improving. I've been going to physio, taking painkillers, and, I could only do more of the localized, lower paid jobs. So the first year of owning the boat, not only did I buy a boat, but I bought a car for £3,000 in cash, which only lasted 3 months, which is for me around 10,000 miles. Smoke was coming into the car, basically had to ditch it. But I bought that car, purely because I had a job lined up over summer, which basically took all the between the tax and the car, basically left me with nothing. Now, work kind of picked up a little bit, but again, I couldn't really do the bigger jobs, so I was left down to the kind of you know, lower paid end of the scale, more localized. But I mean, I got to enjoy the boat a little bit at the start. Not sailing, just hanging around on it. Okay, so the second year was the cerveza sickness. Now, because the way that I'm employed, I didn't get any furlough. Well, tell a lie, I got £10 a month. Now, £10 is not that much. So I'm just watching where I'm going. Got a bit of an obstacle here. So let's put it this way. I can buy a Happy Meal and a main meal at McDonald's. That's how much £10 will get you, for those who are watching internationally. So I couldn't get any universal credit, so ignore the fact that it says universal credit in the name. Apparently not everybody's entitled to it. So, you know, I did try, I couldn't get it. And I couldn't get any of the self-employment grants because although I am registered as self-employed, the agency has only put you through as PAYE, which means they take away all the tax and all the national insurance and so on. So the first year I didn't really earn much money. The second year I definitely didn't earn any money. And then we'll go on to the third year now. So the third year, they kind of lifted lockdowns a little bit. And, you know, I was getting a bit more on my feet, you know, a bit more kind of bouncing around. And we actually went sailing to the Scilly Isles. For those who don't know where that is if you follow the coastline down from Cornwall, you see a little group of islands. They call it the Caribbean of the UK. So you've got like palm trees and all sorts there. So we did that for a month. Now, I did manage to get a very rubbish job, which was very low paid during lockdown to get by. But I was basically traveling 2 hours a day, hiring a car because the Volvo that I brought previously was, let's just say, retired. So hiring a car, I was getting paid £80 a day, minus tax, so let's call it £60, minus the hire car and the fuel. So basically I was walking around with less than £50 a day going to work for 10 hours, which is, you know, better than nothing, right? I mean, as I said, no grants, no support, nothing. Now, in the third year, the late third year, after we had gone cruising on a friend's boat to the Scilly Isles, I was rehired to do the job that I was doing during lockdown. This time, they couldn't really exploit that many people, so they had to put the pay up, which was fine. And I also managed to buy the car that I have now. So I bought it for £2,000 cash, had 90,000 miles on it, and then now, a couple of years later, it's got 146,000 miles on it. But anyway, I'm going to go this way. Look. There we go. I love being off the beaten track. So nice here. So yeah, had my own car rather than hiring it, paid cash for it, and a week into the campaign that I was, of course, rehired to do, I got a phone call from the NHS saying that I can have a knee operation. So they're going to put a brace in my knee to give it more strength and support because, you know, I'm still kind of hopping around and so on, which is one of the reasons why I love walking so much. So the hospital calls and they schedule me for a knee operation because there's been a few last minute cancellations. And so I jumped to it. I let the agency know about 4:30 on the same day that I got booked in. Let everybody know in the office as well. So, you know, I wanted it basically covered. So I could basically work to the end of the month. This is a 3-month contract, by the way. Work to the end of the month, you know, get a couple of rupees in and then go off, have the knee operation. And then, you know, I'd be back on crutches. Now, if you've ever been on crutches, they are not fun to use. And if you unfortunately have to use them, I recommend putting those grips that you have for rowing on the handles because it takes off the hand bit, you know, because you basically end up with really sore hands. Okay, so I couldn't work after my knee operation. Now, the following day, 10 minutes into the shift that I was on, sorry, we're in a bit of a bog here. Okay, oh shit. Okay, reverse. Sorry there. Now I've emailed them. Following day, I get a phone call 10 minutes into my shift saying, just to let you know, you failed a mystery shopper. So my response was, what store am I in? Which they couldn't answer. So it was basically for a very regulated product. Now you're not allowed to interact with people because you're not allowed to be perceived in promoting this restricted product in any way or influence any of the sales. So the only time I can talk to people if somebody comes in to buy one of the products or an alternative product and the person behind the counter refers them over to me. Now within the 10 minutes of being in the store, I've been changed the store last minute, which was very common because they want to put you in a more kind of busier store. Now I was basically removed from the job. They couldn't tell me what store I was in or who would talk to, but they, no one even came in. Now I have my knee operation and it was just like I had the accident all over again. Back on crutches, couldn't really get around. Again, I got zero help from the agencies. I got zero help from the government. So after 3 months, basically I had no income at all. So since owning the boat, literally my income has been so suppressed. You'd think that there'd be help out there. I can see why people end up on the streets homeless. Like honestly, it's it's not great. So I had my knee operation. I'm back in work for a little bit. You have lockdown part 2. So ironically, I ended up working for the government, and because of my lack of income over the years and the lack of opportunities to do anything, I ended up working 88 hours a week. So I was basically staying in my folks' house and working in Rugby. So it's more or less an hour drive away. So I was leaving the house at 5 in the morning, getting to work at 6 in the morning, staying all the way until 10 p.m, going home, which was between 11 and 12, depending if they close the motorways down for resurfacing and doing whatever they do. And basically I was doing that 6 days a week, so 88 hours a week or 16 hours a day. So that was not fun. And of course you get taxed at the end of it, not on the time, but on the amount. Now, because it was just over the minimum wage and I was doing so many hours, I basically had a week's worth of pay taken away every single week. And then at the start of this year, so now we are in 2023, at the start of the year, I thought, great, back on my feet. My knee's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. Had her friends who were going cruising on their boats down to the south coast, which I was really excited to go and do. Now, I also had a job lined up for 6 weeks at the start of the year for an agency, good money. So I went ahead and I brought a new mainsail for my boat, which was £2,000. I also got my car repaired as well. So new cam belt, service, tyres. So that was just over £1,000 for all of that. And then the week before the job gets started, guess what? Cancelled. So I ended up working 2 days in January, 3 days in February. So you can imagine the start of the year was very bountiful. And this year, lots of jobs have been cancelled. Now I work at a lot of exhibit centres. I do a lot of different things, building stands, running them. Now I've just done 3 shows back to back at the National Exhibit Centre in Birmingham, and let me tell you, they've cut down on staff a lot. So usually you have like a third party on the stand helping out, like me for instance, where we were doing like little mini games and so on. None of that's happened, and I've worked at good big shows this year as well. So I mean, at the start of the year I was just like, oh great, I cannot wait for this year to begin. Got good work lined up, the boat's ready to go, literally to cast the lines off, go on a lot of adventures, the car's all great. But unfortunately, having more car issues, so I've just had to replace the turbo, suspension, and get a new tyre because one had a nail in it, on top of not really working that much this week. And it's got to the point where my former lady friend of 5 years, she kind of bailed as well, so kind of dealing with a lot of stuff. So if you watch part 1, you probably know that I've had a good run of bad luck, that's for sure. Now today's video hasn't been the kind of normal kind of videos that I plan to do. So if you like things like wild camping and sailing, all that type of outdoorsy stuff that I played in the intro, then feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm also planning to change the GoPro out to something else because, you know, if you've watched my liveaboard sailboat video, you'll see that in the comments that I've switched between because my camera kept overheating and everything. So, but anyway, have a great day, guys, and if you're going through hell, just keep on going, and hopefully the devil won't even know that you're there before you get out. So have a good time, guys.